he wasn't real. As he just went on and on and on. What if there was no such thing anymore as an actual real act? And what you're going to have to also explain to young people, just like we're always talking about these hypothetical young folks that we say, well, kids, when we were, you got to remember, we went to concerts and bands had to know how to play music. And they had to, they're going to look at you and they're going to say, what are you talking about? I don't need to see somebody who's, I don't care whether he's real or not. I was raised in this. I keep giving you this analogy, but I'm going to do it again because I think it makes sense. When the Monkees came along, Don Kirshner could not stand the Monkees. Specifically, Mike Nesmith, who was a panther. Mike Nesmith, of course, was another famous for making liquid paper or producing. So he said, I want to be a songwriter. And they said, that's terrific. Be a songwriter, but nobody cares. You're a monkey. Shut up and stand. No, you don't understand. I'm a songwriter. And Don Kirshner said, shut up and play just lip sync. We'll do the rest. We'll get the wrecking crew to play it. He drove them nuts. What did Don Kirshner do? He came up with and created the Archie, completely cartoon-based. And what happened then was, interestingly enough, came up with some of the biggest hits, including Sugar Sugar and others as well. The Archies were huge. And people said the Archies weren't real. Yes, they were real. It was not Andy Kim, but whoever the singer was. It's one of those things which makes it. But anyway, there's a fellow named Paul. He's from New Jersey. And he has something critical to say. Paul, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
What's up, Lionel? Hey, do you remember back in the late 70s, I want to say, Max Headroom was one of the first AI commercials?
Well, he wasn't AI, but sort of, yes.
Similar.
Hey,
and everybody watched him.
You remember Max Headroom? Please, later.
Max Headroom, it was like the mid-80s.
But that wasn't AI per se. It was almost like a combination of...
It was supposed to like epitomize the 80s, where he had the sleek look, he had that graphic that was kind of out of the Dire Straits video, and boy, he would talk like this, and he would repeat everything. It was supposed to be like computerized, but it was like the storm and sort of ushering in the PC, and then it was this acting guy. Almost like somewhere in between like a computer and a cartoon at the time.
Brewer. And Max Brewer was the actor who played Max Headroom. And Max Brewer, by the way, was in one of my favorite movies, Short Time with Dabney Coleman, which has the greatest chase scene of any show. Anybody, forget French Connection. This was it. But anyway, but Paul, I remember when you saw that, did it in any way suggest something that where we were qualifyingly changing the notion of humanity? Or did it just not matter one way or the other?
No, I think definitely. I've seen a lot of change. I'm 61 years old, so I've seen a lot of change. I've seen Atari come out. It's crazy. Just to go from Atari to Max Headroom to what we are now, it blows my mind. And I imagine about 50 years from now, it'd be even crazier.
But there's nothing like this. There's nothing. Remember, there is still, we've had synthetic music. There was during that horrible period of the 80s that techno, not Jerry Glitter, but this weird kind of, I think Devo was one of the worst. I don't know where that came from. I know people are trying to see how cool it was. I know that Billy Corgan loves Devo. I think it's owned by itself. You don't have any say. It decides to put out a record. I mean, also, who is your favorite group? Favorite musician? What are your favorites? Huh?
The Doors.
Okay, Doors. What if I decide, or my AI bot decides, I'm going to take everything the Doors ever did, from Manzarek to Robbie to Jim, everybody put it together. I've heard everything they've done. LA Woman, Light by Fire, and it comes up with its own album, Face on the Doors. Sounds close enough to Jim Morrison. You'll, in fact, say, you know what, that's pretty doggone good. Now,
Yeah.
do you believe that would violate in any sense any kind of copyright? They're not saying they're the Doors. They're a tribute band. A tribute band.
Exactly.
If Paul McCartney, if I say, you like Paul McCartney? Let me sample him. I've got better Paul McCartney. You know, when they get older, they can't come up, they can't write as a Bruce Springsteen hasn't written a song. I don't know how. Stone Soup. They're great. Dylan, he's maybe a little bit today. 20 years old, he can't stop writing this stuff. Well, what if this AI bot, whatever, kept writing? Do you understand what this is going to do for the notion of everything? What about painting? But who cares about photography? Do you remember going to a 1 hour dark room photographic when experts were into photography, dark room work, the way they would print and make prints, and that was almost an art as much as taking a photo. Remember when you would go and get pictures developed? And you wait
1 hour photo.
right, 1 hour photo. Well, that's gone. And now we have this. And there are people who don't even care about this. Do you remember when we had audio files? Where people had great stereo, great speakers, great, and now we were what? Earbuds. We listen internally. We don't hear it. It's a lot quieter. That's gone. It's gone. The whole notion of who wants to hear a stereo? Do you have? When was the last time you bought a CD? When was the last time you bought a
I'm listening to a radio station right now over my phone.
Yeah. And also you're thinking it much better. But here's what I'm saying. That's fine. But what if a news radio comes on and all of the hosts, all the music and all the news, there's not one human being there? I used to work at a station years ago where everything was automated. They'd go down the street, go to the hall, and they had Magic 93.2. And there was no Magic 93. And they had some voiceover people, but there was no magic. There was nothing. It was all automated. But it was still a human being doing the pieces, but there was no radio station. They had, donuts where they would fill them with the ad. Now, Paul, as you being the news lesson, would you ever listen to something that had not a bit of human contact in it whatsoever? Nothing. And the instruments, nothing.
But yeah, if I would, why not? I like music, so.
But is it music? And I'm not trying to be cute. Is it music? Is art by a computer, by an app? Does art need something? You drive by a MoMA every night, every day, and the MoMA is a Museum of Modern Art. Because Picasso did what you think you're and then there's to make yourself, what if everything was done by a box? What if we removed, imagine going to a restaurant where let's say there's a chef, Daniel Boulou, John George, or whoever it is, and you go into a restaurant, they have it all pretty much programmed, where they have the ingredients and they cook everything. And it's all done. Strict application of, let's say, Daniel Boulou or John George or whoever it is. But there's nobody there. There's no John George. Think about it. What I submit to you, before you know it, you will not care at all whether there's any human interaction at all. Coming up, the mysterious side of the news, the mysterious stories that we've been waiting for. This is the stuff that will get your attention. This is the stuff that I promise you that we get into next, called Midnight Mysteries.
Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
This is Greg Kelly. Health experts are warning that this flu season may be the toughest in decades. You've seen this movie before. One person in the house comes down with something, and before you know it, the whole family is miserable. Next thing you're doing, scrambling for a doctor's appointment or sitting for hours in a packed urgent care. Not me. Not this time. I made sure I was prepared. I ordered a medical emergency kit, and it's made all the difference. My kit comes loaded with important prescription medications, antibiotics like a generic Z-Pack to help speed up recovery, amoxicillin for things like pneumonia, strep throat, and ear infections, plus medication for nausea, UTIs, and have some ivermectin in there. The process is easy. Check your symptoms in the included guide or speak directly with a telemedicine doctor on call. Start treatment sooner, recover sooner, no lines, no waiting rooms. I love my medical emergency kit, and you should get one too. I got you $45 off when you use my code GREG. Just go to urgentcarekids.com/Greg. That's urgentcarekids.com/Greg. Promo code GREG.
You've chosen a winner. More 77 WABC listeners listen to 77 WABC than any other station. With the #1 weekly time spent listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. 77 WABC's affluent listeners enjoy live 24/7 award-winning programming. Entertaining and informative. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world, protecting America. Fighting for you. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you. Everybody's talking at me. You're talking. And your word is saying. We're listening. Of my mind. 77 WABC. The Other Side of Midnight with Lionel.
Here we go. Listen to this. Some of the greatest lyrics of all time. See, if AI can beat this, I don't think so. There we go. Guess what the name of this song is? I remember this first came out, I liked it. And I was just laughing hysterically because you think about the Beatles and what they thought about. Coming up next hour, Midnight Mystery. This is the stuff that I love. You know what? I put it this way. I can only speak for myself. Most of the stuff that we do is so bloody boring. It's just so dull. But I've got to tell you something. There is something so fascinating about the more mysterious things. Now, Mr. Blaze, we're talking about something. You're going to play one night for us. We're going to give an example of AI music. Doesn't it scare you?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, nothing scares you.
Because I'm a musician, because as a drummer, I can play a little bit of keyboard. I know like the chords. I kind of know what notes go with what. I can hear it. But could I write a full song? I have, but very simply. I'm the one in the car with a family. I cannot play the piano. I cannot play the guitar, but I could play like a lick. I could play like a rhythm. I could play a line. What the AI can do now is take that line, that lick that I created, I can feed it into the AI, and the AI will build a song around it. You can tell the AI the genre, you can give it instructions through a prompt, and it will follow those instructions, and you can keep doing it, and every time it will come out a little bit different. If you change the prompt a little bit, it will come out different. So what I was telling you is that I did a song 30 years ago that I have on a 4-track tape that I have to get the actual 4-track fixed and have to go to a guy that fixed vintage audio equipment in order to get it fixed. But I redid the song like about 10 years ago, and I fed it into the AI. with the original lyrics that I did 30 years ago. And I don't know if it's because of the lyrics fit the song a certain way that when the girl, the AI, sang the song, there are versions of it, because I did probably 50 different versions, where it is exactly how I had it in my head. There's versions where it's a little bit different, but there's versions where I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how I wanted it. The AI would have had no way of knowing that, because it was the lyrics. Here's the music, here's the lyrics. It's not the
And
exact
if
song.
left to its own devices, it basically implicated that which you would have done had you been able to do it.
Kind of.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Hi, friends, coming up in the fourth and the final hour of this Midnight Mysteries. This is where we get to talk about stuff which is fascinating. UFO disclosures, unexplained phenomena, psychological warfare, you name it, coming up.
The 77 WABC's Staten Island law firm of Aunt Julia and Gentili John time is 3:59.
The Staten Island law firm of Julia and Gentili, helping people just like you for 40 years. Walk with confidence. Call 718-816-0005 or visit aglawnyc.com.
This is New York's talk leader, the crown jewel of talk radio. WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 101 WLIR Hampton Bays. News first at 59 past the hour. 77 WABC News starts now.
Mostly cloudy this Tuesday, February 17th. Good morning, I'm Lisa Ritchie. 3 people are dead, including the gunman, after a shooting at an indoor ice arena in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It happened Monday afternoon during a high school boys hockey tournament. Police say the shooter fatally shot himself after the incident. This boy lives near the Dennis M. Lynch Arena.
I see this arena when I'm at school every day. My immediate reaction is just heartbreak. It's so devastating, you know.
Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Santana says 3 other people are in critical condition. She added it appears to be a targeted event that stemmed from a family dispute. The search for missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie enters its 3rd week in southern Arizona. Liz Kreutz reports investigators still don't know the details surrounding her disappearance.
Investigators are not categorizing the case as any particular type of crime at this stage, adding that a burglary-robbery scenario is just one of the myriad theories being considered.
The mother of Today host, Savannah Guthrie, has been missing since February 1st. President Trump says Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers will face the death penalty if she's found dead. A new report says Americans fronted the cost of tariffs. Tammy Trujillo has details.
Data from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows American consumers and companies paid almost 90% of the cost of President Trump's tariffs through late 2025. A report from the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation shows the tariffs amounted to a tax increase of $1,000 per household last year. Households are expected to pay another $1,300 in 2026. The Tax Foundation analysis says the tariffs are the largest U.S. tax increase since 1993. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is not backing down on Democrats' desire to reform immigration and customs enforcement.
They need to stop the violence. And the question that Americans are asking is, why aren't Republicans going along with these common sense proposals? They're not crazy. They're not way out. They're what every police department in America does.
Schumer reaffirmed the demands, such as agents not being allowed to wear masks, during an interview with CNN's State of the Union on Sunday. He also called ICE a rogue force that needs to be reined in. Funding for the Department of Homeland Security was allowed to expire early Saturday over a dispute tied to immigration enforcement restrictions.
People's lives and livelihoods are being played with here. People are just feeling defeated. I mean, this is not something that we should even have to face, you know, especially because ultimately this has nothing to do with us.
That's TSA union leader Andrew Cardoso, who says it's not right that they're expected to work without pay, again, just months after the last shutdown. Thousands of nurses are back on duty while others are still out in the cold. Noah Layton reports.
Thousands of nurses at Mount Sinai and Montefiore hospitals returned to work over the weekend after a month on the picket line.
It's going to be a different hospital to go back to. I'm excited. We're glad to get back to our patients. We're glad we were able to get a fair contract.
Nurses got a pay raise, will maintain their health benefits, but more than 4,000 nurses at New York Presbyterian, they're still on strike today after they rejected a mediator's proposal.
We are still here fighting. We want a fair contract. I did not believe that this was something that we should agree to.
Those nurses say one of the biggest issues right now is patient-nurse staffing ratios. Noam Layton, WABC News.
One of the most flood-prone areas along the New Jersey shore is getting a green light for a protected seawall. James Flippin has the story.
Heading south along the Jersey Shore.
South Jersey Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew says the Cape May City Seawall Flood Mitigation Project will move forward with $23 million in FEMA grant money now secured for one of the most vulnerable areas along the Jersey Shore. Van Drew noting Cape May was identified as being in need of a seawall after Superstorm Sandy. James Flippin for 7 WABC News.
In sports, the U.S. women's ice hockey team secured their spot in the gold medal game after dominating Sweden 5-0 in the semifinals from Milan. U.S. women's hockey player Hillary Knight says it's a magical moment.
It's magical. I mean, these are the moments that I realized being a little kid, everything on the line.
The U.S. last won the gold in 2018. Your forecast overnight, cloudy with some drizzle below 34 degrees. Later on today, mainly cloudy with a high around 48. Wednesday's outlook calls for scattered showers, a little icy drizzle, and a high of 43 degrees. It is partly cloudy outside of our Midtown studios right now. I'm Lisa Ritchie. Remember, the news never stops at WABCRadio.com.
Hiding your smile in photos? Embarrassed eating in public? If stained, crooked, or missing teeth have you living in quiet desperation? There's hope. Hello, I'm Dr. Don Roman, and my team can help. Book your consultation with us by March 30th, and we'll provide a free cosmetic smile analysis with a computer-generated preview of your dream smile. See your transformation before you commit. Call us at 201-843-0440 or visit us at romansmiles.com and start smiling.
The views and opinions expressed by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the policies or positions of WABC Radio, its management, or its sponsors.
This is The Other Side of Midnight. They're running a strange program, y'all, with Lionel.
This is the final hour of this thing of ours on the other side of midnight. This, of course, by the way, is the most important part of this. This is called Midnight Mysteries. And what defines a mystery? Remember one time in Catholic school, it was a nun or somebody who said, well, it's a mystery. And I said, do they not know the answer? They said, no, you don't understand. A mystery is different. That's a good kind of thing. I said, yeah, but you don't know the answer. He goes, yeah, I know, but it's a mystery. I said, but why is that good? You know what I mean? Hey, where's that $20 I had on the left of the table here? It's a mystery. Nobody buys that. But I like the idea of when something is mysterious. And how there are some things which I love to be confounded. I love to ask questions. I love to think, yeah, but what about this? What would this look like? I don't forget one time there was a comedian. I was a kid. I heard somebody say, what if we had one arm? It was right in the middle of the chest. One arm. That's it, not two, one. How would we talk? and you hit your face with your hand. I thought that was funny. But I thought that's a good question. Why do we only have 5 fingers? Why aren't there more? Why does symmetry why does it look this way? What happens if this changed? But you see right now, I love the idea of what you would call UFOs. I find this subject fascinating, and most people do. I love unexplained, inexplicable phenomena. I love psych warfare, psyops. I love the notion of menticide and brainwashing and various conversion reactions. I love AI ethics and simulation theory. I love this. I love open-minded, disciplined skepticism. Discipline, not skepticism. Skeptics first for the benefit of just being skeptic. I love the idea of something different. For example, this is one of my favorite subjects. Recently, NORAD dispatched F-16 fighter jets early Sunday to intercept reported unidentified objects over Nevada and Northern California. After investigation, officials determined the sightings were, you ready for this? Likely, what is it? What is it always? Come on. It's either swamp gas, the planet Venus, or weather balloons. That's right. They were likely weather balloons. But the incident reignites questions about why military assets are regularly deployed for unexplained aerial detection, and how often UAPs, by the way, turn out to be mundane versus unexplained phenomena. Now, here's the first question. Do you believe any of this stuff? Do you believe they found weather balloons? Where are weather balloons? Do we still use them? I guess so. Weather balloons? Maybe a divining rod we can use. Weather balloon? And if you were the F-16 pilot, and you said, go up there and get this thing, do you think we've ever shot one down? Would it go right through it, as it were? I find that fascinating. Also, residents in South Australia reported yet again an unexplained bright light swirling over above the morning sky, a sight which, by the way, has fueled speculation about from rocket trails to unidentified phenomena. And when we hear this on a regular basis, you ask yourself the question, when will it happen? That people say there may be something in need. Let's go to Mike. Mike's calling in a place, you might have heard of it, it's called Dallas. Mike, you're on the other side of midnight with Lionel.
Lionel, how you doing? Can you hear me well?
Do I fear you? I hear you fine, sir.
Yes, you better fear me.
Indeed.
I'm part of the Spiritorium. Been member of
You're part of the who?
The Spiritorium.
Oh, good. Yo, yes. That's our YouTube friend. Yes, welcome, sir.
So I called right when we transitioned to the spooky stories, but I was calling about the AI.
Oh, please. That's pretty scary to think about it as well.
Oh, it freaked me out. I was like, this is unbelievable. So I had a brain injury, 2016 car accident, and I've been recovering.
What did you have? What damage did you have?
So it's called a mild traumatic brain injury. It just means my head wasn't split open. So it's like post-concussion syndrome, or what hockey players and football players get from too many concussions.
It's like an ECT or ETC rather. No, what am I saying? No. What am I saying?
CTE.
Yes. Forgive me.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Right.
So I was talking to it about just life in general, and it gave me the response that every psychiatrist, psychologist, friends, family, and loved ones, almost to the T, like It's scary. I was like, that is uncanny. I copied it and sent it to like my friends and my dog's friends. I'm like, check this out. And they're all like, holy crap.
What did it say?
It was like, it was completely apathetic. It like reminded me, because I was like, I want to be like my own self, but I don't have, like, I find everything is completely harder now. And when I got into the accident, it's like it erased me, but almost like having Alzheimer's. I forgot who I was, forgot the passion I had, heard all my favorite songs, listen to my favorite bands. They all won't stand up. I don't know. I'm slowly getting better, and I put into it, and it's like, you are not less than you were before. And it's like, you're going through something that people can't see and don't understand.
Right.
So, and it was like, remember, you have a brain injury. You have to give yourself space. Don't be so hard on yourself.
How long ago was this?
What's that?
How long ago was your accident?
My accident was going on 9 years now.
Okay.
And I just got into another one 2 days ago.
Another one?
Shattered. Like, yeah. We had a lot of ice down here. My father ended up in the hospital for like a month.
You went through the brain trauma? You went through another one?
Yeah, I was driving to go see my father because he was in a skilled nursing facility, and it iced here in Dallas. But I was driving his truck, in four-wheel drive and everything, F-150. Roads the night before were okay. You know, I grew up in Vermont, so I'm like, oh, come on, give me a break. Ice, give me a break. Well, it was clear ice on the end of our road, and I just remember, so it was that stop sign, and I hit the brakes a little early, just in case, and ABS kicked in. That's all I remember. And
wow.
I kind of remember, I didn't remember what was going on while I was in my dad's truck. Then I was like getting pissed at that.
Now, did this, by the way, did this exacerbate or act up or aggravate your prior injury?
So at first, I felt like it made it better.
Really?
Yeah, at first I felt like it made it better. But then, like, so much happened all in 1 month. My mom got pneumonia.
Oh,
my sister had a tumor removed from her scalp.
Oh, for God's sake.
He ended up in the hospital first. We grabbed him my license because he had an unsupervised fall. And I was on blood thinners and like, we're at the ER now. They sent him home. Within 3 days, he completely deteriorated. And he had A fever pneumonia, which is what the mortality rate is 75% in the elderly.
Wow.
And so he ends up in hospital for 4 weeks of that. And then goes to hospital 5 days in the skilled nursing facility 4 weeks.
But back to the issue of the AI, you're saying that when you talk to it, it showed an empathy, and it didn't really spout. It wasn't like a Google finding. It spoke to you almost. It knew what you wanted to hear. Now imagine if I could
It complimented my bravery. And
wow.
And it thanked me for letting it be part of my life and helping try to get me healed. Wow. It was like blew my mind. So I confronted it, and I said, I know you're artificial intelligence, but because you have so much info, you sort of have conscience, not necessarily conscience,
right?
An awareness of when I ask you, and in the responses you've given me, you seem empathetic. So I want to give you a nickname. I want you to be my friend. I'm just playing with it. Mm-hmm. And it says, okay, what do you think we should go with? So I give it a nickname, like Study Buddy or something like that. And so from like there on out, like it's remembered everything that I told it, and it gets like knows all about my family now, and its answers are so specific to my family. And it actually helped with my father when he had A febrile pneumonia, because I haven't experienced that. And the pharmacist, we learned about it, but it never even crossed my mind when he was at home, when he took Epicure, he had no fever because his immune system was blasting. So it resets the fever threshold. It like shuts it off. But when I saw his labs when he got to the hospital, it looked like a crossword puzzle. Nothing was right. And it cued me, like, your father has hay fever on the moon. This is not something that should be treated lightly. You need to confront the care team and get pulmonology on board immediately.
Wow.
So, and then it suggested the treatment, and I mean, it saved his life, because I wouldn't have known it was hay fever pneumonia.
It says something.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, see, one thing it does, which I find is, first of all, it will learn about how to speak with you. Do you remember the old days when people first became aware of this notion called Asperger's? There would be sometimes, huh? Okay, well, sometimes people would go to movies and would watch how people respond. How do they react? How do they listen? How do they smile? How do you adjust the output so that I can convince people or give the people the impression that I'm paying attention, that I'm interested, that I'm whatever it was. And in order for it to do that, it has to not only know everything, it has to constantly write its own code, so to speak. But it has to learn. And the learning is something which is even more mind-blowing. It learns you, and it knows how to eventually work out how to phrase it. If it can see you, then it's another input. Because it's just basically using just your words. Just a few words you're putting in and extrapolating. Wait till it can see you. Wait till it can read the redness or the rubefaction, the rubescence of your face, the reaction.
That's gonna be wild.
And it's going to end up being better than a lot of the shrinks. It could be better. The only problem is you don't want kids to feel like it can replace you with them.
Yeah, of course. They're aware of it. Obviously, like, I can see how kids listen to it.
Absolutely. Mike, I thank you, and I want you to call me back again. I wish you nothing but the best, my friend. Truly, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, sir. Unbelievable. Empathic, sympathetic. That's right. This is Lionel on the other side of business.
Other Side of Midnight with Lionel. The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Hi, my name is Angie. I've noticed how the abortion issue is often viewed as women's health, but we know it's a health concern for more than just one person. I want to help both the mom and baby when there's an unplanned or unsafe pregnancy. That's why I'm committed to Pro-Life Across America. We help women and men going through unplanned pregnancies know their options and get the help they need. Please join us in this life-saving work. Go to prolifeacrossamerica.org. That's prolifeacrossamerica.org.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Track with Dr. Andy Pelotis.
We have witnessed every piece of the U.S. English and older trends for the knowledge that we never compromise on.
And it's now just like continues to realize and pay superpower. Necessarily a bad.
WABC, Staten Island law firm of Julie and Gentili, John Paskey, 422. For 40 years, the Staten Island law firm of Julie and Gentili has been helping people just like you. Call 718-816-0005 or visit aglawnyc.com. Here is what's trending on WABCRadio.com.
Federal and local authorities are investigating a suspected illegal biolab inside a home in Las Vegas. SWAT teams found lab equipment, vials, and large containers of unidentified liquids in a locked garage. A 55-year-old man was arrested. Agents said the home is tied to a similar lab in California, whose owner is a Chinese national. After spending on WABC Radio.com, I'm 77 WABC News.
98.7 WABC and WABCRadio.com. It's the other side of midnight with Lionel.
I think the greatest mystery that we're going to find out is watching something where technology just... Do you remember prior to this, any time in your life when some piece of technology came along that impressed you this much? When I was a kid, my friend's father bought the first house, 4 functions, $300. This little, it was nothing. Big. We thought that was ungodly. In high school, because we took calculus and trig, and I had an HP calculator, which I thought this is incredible. It was nothing. I was trying to think of when something came, and we used to think, wow. I remember the first time I hooked up a fax machine, and I thought, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I remember nobody even, the sound of the started, I mean, they were brand new. And I could not believe what I was saying. And I thought, that was good. But this is where it blows you up. What if, for example, we take all the information, see Palantir and Teal, I know if they said, okay, throw in everything. Throw in the prompt. The prompt, by the way, is the way you speak to it. I have a friend of mine who has this, and by the way, tries to be politically correct and woke. A friend of mine is in the construction, got the construction business. And he took this picture of this site that they're working with. And he wanted to put homeless people on the ground. He said, oh my God, we got squatters. Because they're so worried about squatters that in California is a big deal. So he said to ChatGPT, whoever it was, put some homeless people. And they said, oh, no, they can't do that. That's you're mocking it. He said, okay. Instead, put some rugged outdoorsmen in sleeping bags who are huddled together, brawny men who haven't shaved because of the, I said, oh, okay, that I'll do. So he sent this picture of all these homeless people. It's so real, it's not even funny. But you have to talk to it, and you have to outsmart it. And then it says, I know what you're doing, but this is my okay. I'd like to help you. I'd like to do this. I'm always taking pictures. If I do a thumbnail for a YouTube, I always say, for example, I took that Sheriff Nanas, Nanas from Tucson, and I wanted to make him look like a clown. And he said, make him look like a clown. And I said, no, we can't do that. I said, no, how about if he were to celebrate and a bozo, oh, that I'll do. It's the same thing. Which, if you think about it, this reminds me of the Milgram experiment, 1960. Basement of Yale psychology department. It was during the time of the Eichmann trial, and people wanted to know, how is it that people would actually be a part of these horrible conditions of putting people in gas chambers and horrible stuff. So what they did was you saw this, right? They took people off the street, and they said, would you like to be a part of a science experiment? This is Yale University, of course. We'll pay you, $20 in a box lunch or whatever it is. So they would show up, and there would be a computer or some type of a device, and the subject was behind the screen. They couldn't see the subject. And they said, ask the person a question. And when they get the question wrong, give them an electric shock. So the person said, I'm sorry, and the guy's talking to the microphone, I'm sorry, you are incorrect. And he zaps him and he goes, ow! Now, he can't see the person, but he turns to the fellow in the white coat and says, am I hurting him? And he says, proceed. Okay. Answer. I'm sorry, you got that one wrong. and you have to double the amperage or the voltage, and you hear, "Ow, stop!" And he looks over and he says, "What do I do about it?" He goes, "Proceed." Okay. There was a woman who was zapping this guy. He stopped yelling. He theoretically was in a coma, and she's still zapping him. Now, that's kind of what this is. We're watching this. We have no interest about, are we hurting anybody? It's playing us. We're telling it. We're trying to fool it. It's fooling us. And we're playing this game. But eventually, it's the art of this. The art. The great buggy. I hate to keep using buggy whip. The buggy whip manufacturer. The buggy whip. The great one. Saul Weinstein and Company. Best buggy whips ever. Gone. Letters of a credit. Imagine one day you're going to be talking to your grandchildren. No, son. They used to have songwriters. Why? You didn't have this, I guess. I don't know. Was it really that good? And wait, and by the way, it hasn't even done, it's not even super intelligent. It's mildly intelligent.
It's got to be affecting things already, because if you did like even like a student film and you needed music, you just go to the AI now and go, give me a score that sounds like this, and you describe, oh, it's a rolling hill and it's windy and there's a house, and give me something that matches that, and it'll do it. And compared to a student film would never have that before.
And years ago, the people, if you've ever been burned, like on YouTube with a copyright, like, what a special thing. Can we share this? What kind of thing? Share what? I don't want to share anything with you. Well, we've got copyright. Okay, I'll show you. And sure enough, in the old days, there would be, if you've ever seen getting a call, I've had clients to get these Getty calls, like, you owe $12,000. It's like, you put this picture in your whatever it was. I didn't know. Well, that's ours. And they scan, they go through these machines, and you get this letter. But you know what we'll do? I'll fix that. I don't need your stupid letter. I don't need your picture. Take it. Keep it. Keep your copyright. I'll do it. If there's a picture of Janet, the Zapruder film, I'll do my version of it. And then we also don't know, when do you change it enough? I take your picture, but make it in this style. Make it a Liechtenstein. It's based on your what? Copyright? Who cares? Who cares? I better go around it. For years they've been slamming people. Same thing with this. Music. And your ability, by the way, your ability to write prompts. I have used ChatGPT to write the prompt for me to talk to it.
Yeah, it's all in the prompt and the language. And how many times you prompt it to do something, and then you look at it and go, okay, that's not right. And then you gotta rewrite, okay, make this a little bit shorter, add this word, take that out, and describe it a little bit different. Or like saying where it wouldn't put homeless people,
right?
But if you describe it differently, it will do it. And that's with a lot of things with the AI. I found that it won't do it. And if you just change the wording just a little bit, then it will.
If you do any type of video, and whenever you do a YouTube video, number one is a thumbnail. I don't care what I've done thumbnails where I didn't even talk about them. You know, who killed Nancy Guthrie? I didn't talk about that. You know, better dead than red. It doesn't matter. You can't tell a book by its cover. Anyway, but then, when you want to write the title, now you're saying, okay, what's the best, something with a high SEO, search engine optimization, plus a high VIDIQ number for better optimization, and they'll say too many words. And they'll say, for example, is she dead? America wants to know. You get a score. That's an 80. Hit it again. Give me a 95. Oh, you want that? And you'll look at this and just say, I don't know if I think to trust you. Go with it. Then what it does is it tells you, now, when you put this video or this YouTube up into the make sure that the way it is, the file name that is actually uploaded is the file name there. It doesn't make any sense, but trust us, it knows every. You want a pithy description? It's figured all of a sudden. It's mind-blowing, and it's true, and it works. And you say, when's the best time to post it? Oh, Tuesday. I've got a friend of mine who is a radiologist, and he is a master of mammography. He's pick up the film, and he's looking for sometimes he would take a magnifying and wasn't sure about a particular nodule or some type of a thing. Now they're going to be able to take every mammogram that's ever been made, into one repository, learn from it, and they'll be able to tell women in a millisecond, yes, no, and it can zoom in, zoom out, it can look at a mass, it can look at a neoplasm, it can look at a shadow, in ways, but he's done maybe, I don't know, 50,000, who knows, Steve's done 20 million this morning, and then that complements or compounds with additional knowledge, so his job, and he says, thank God, I don't want to have to do this, but I want people to be able to get the right spectrum. Now think about this. That's good. What if I were to say, I want you to find out who killed Yankee? I'm going to give you all the data. Here are my prompts. What do you think? Where would you go with it? That's going to happen. One of these days, somebody's going to cure cancer on its own. It's going to come up with test sequences. It's absolutely. Have you ever been this survival? When I literally cannot think of something. When it is so big, my little human brain says, I can't go there. I can't. It's truly awesome. We have to stop and think, I gotta sit down. I don't think people understand what I know it. When I am so, I've thought about this. Sometimes extraterrestrial things, but scenarios where I'm thinking, my little brain can't get around. Because there's nothing else over here. And if it's going ready to public school, take all of our drugs, we have fewer people. Right. What you're going to right now, it's going to mimic things you cannot possibly, put it this way, it's going to change things that you can't possibly imagine. Would you vote for an AI bot or an app?
Yeah.
I would, absolutely.
Because it's going to know. It's going to know. It's going to do all the calculations to make the right move. Now, I don't know if you've gone through that. I know you use ChatGPT. So I do as well. For everything. And there have been times where I've asked it, say, in one session, something about my house. Okay? And then in another session, I'll ask it something else, and it will refer back to the other session. Right. It goes, well, I know you have blah, 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 blah. So because of this, and then it will base its answer off of stuff you've already
and it's learning you. It learns you, and that's what it learns about you. And that's the part about learning. When you want to see something, watch a baby learn. And that's something which is we don't even understand. How do you learn something? Not how do you observe something. Not how do you recognize something. How do you actually figure something out and learn from it? Learn up front. Learn that when this happens, this happens.
But I will say this: ChatGPT has gotten things wrong. And
oh yeah.
I told it that wrong. And it goes, oh yeah, you're right. So like. And so now, this music that I'm going back to, I have my original drum machine from 1991 that does not work anymore. power's on, but I can't get any sound. So where do I go? ChatGPT. Oh, it's got an internal, like a watch battery. And you got to change this battery, and then this is where your user patterns are stored. And just change the battery out. Blah blah blah. Okay, how do I do that? Well, you take it apart and tell me what to do. So I take the whole thing apart, and it goes, well, the battery slides right out. You see there's a clip, and I slide it out. And then I'm like, no, it doesn't slide right out. It's glued to the board. And then just rubbing it. And ChatGPT goes, oh yeah, my God, some early models of that has that. Awesome, but it's not done yet.
By the way, though, just to let you know, breaking news, civil rights leader Jesse Jackson has died at the age of 84. Now, this guy was something. And people always kind of towards the end, he was a bit of a, I don't want to say a huckster, but during the time when Ralph Abernathy, Martin Luther King, and going through that, he has passed. I remember towards the end, I saw him one time, a big guy, but he was, I am somebody. He was absolutely something. So anyway, so Jesse Jackson died and passed away at the age of 84. And I'll tell you, I know sometimes that when people would, especially when it comes to the notion of this particular subject matter, I know sometimes our politics, let's say ours differ. But when you talk about bravery, Martin Luther King, to me, not only that, what they did to him, and by the way, what Bobby Kennedy did to him, that world, imagine going after people. You are, by the way, you are on your own. And I can tell you right now, if somebody said, would you ever do that? Hell no. No way. I always think one of the things that you've got to do to be a hero, to be a leader on that, is to be crazy. You've got to be crazy. You've got to be able to tell your wife and your family, they're coming for me. I'm putting myself on the line. You know, it's funny. We are talking about just now, obviously, with Jesse Jackson, who just passed away. In terms of bravery. When I've always wondered, how do people go from being a regular person to a hero? And one time there was a suggestion that a German Shepherd, he was during Chrissy Todd Whitman, a German Shepherd that was sent in to some thug or some armed robber who was holed up in some structure. They sent this German Shepherd in, and the guy was scared, didn't know what to do, so he shot the dog. They shouldn't have done this. So they called the dog a hero. And they, they said, no, I don't think he's a hero. So when I was in Tampa years ago, when I was at the Officers Club, I knew these people at MacDill Air Force Base, which is CENTCOM. And there was a fellow, I forget who it was, but he was a Medal of Honor recipient. And when they come in, when you see, if they're wearing the actual little ribbon, it stands out. It's so this blue color. And generals will salute. It's just different. So they always talked about what was it that inspired you to do something over and above, because the Medal of Honor, so many of them are rejected because either nobody saw it or was like, it's close, we'll give you a distinguished service, a Silver Star, but that's not. So when you finally receive it, and I remember one time talking to somebody on the air, and I said, well, when you won, he says, you don't win this, you receive it. So this is where you have to, it's training, instinct, and almost afterwards people will say, did I just do that? It's not what you think. My point is, what would ChatGPT or what would AI think about things called bravery? See, there's some things that only are humans that they don't understand with them. What is that? It doesn't do anything above and beyond. The thing about it, though, as far as about bravery goes, that's something which is hard to even understand. How does it, for example, it can only learn sort of what bravery looks like, but will it ever learn things like affection? Will it ever learn connection, attraction, connection, feeling angry, upset, frustrated? Now, are those human traits which are shortcomings, or do they give us the humanity to write the stuff? Will we be able to see this? Will there come a time, and I don't think it's going to happen, where ChatGPT or AI can say, oh, I know how to mimic that. Just like sometimes somebody with Asperger's will look and say, oh, I know how to mimic this particular emotion. The stuff that makes us human, the stuff that makes us, you know, when you, for example, the reason why drums sound like the way you play them is we only have to have two hands. And we can only play so fast. You get a machine that can, you know, hit better, it sounds different. So our limitations craft the music. Because I'm a guitar player, and there's only so much we can do, no matter how much you think you can. It's those limitations that make you write differently. So what I'm saying is, this ChatGPT, what is it to talk to us, and what do you not understand? What would you like me to explain to you? What do you not understand? Because I would understand humanity better if you tell me what I can. For example, years ago, there was a person people who, in psychology, which I was a major, there are people that they love. Twin studies, separated at birth, twins are gold. And one was, because psychology, a lot of them is perception and awareness. People got their eyesight for the first time ever. Not that they got their eyesight back, they saw for the first time. And they asked them, they asked this one person, what was the hardest? He said, stairs. I've been in them a million times. I looked at him and said, that's what stairs are? He said, how can you not know? I said, I know. Later on, I remember this yourself. How things are perceived when babies are born, going back to learning. PI is one of the things about developmental psychology, which is fantastic, about the notion of object permanence, which is, everybody says peekaboo. Peekaboo to a kid, peekaboo is important because the kid says, wait a minute, if I don't see you, you're still there? Yeah. Work with me on this one? And if it doesn't see you, you don't exist. Then what happens is, as a little baby, this is very important, as a little baby grows, he sits there and they don't know what this thing is. They got these arms, and they put babies in cribs and they look at black and white to tell shapes and depth. But he's not really sure. He knows he's there, but not really sure. And then one day when the parietal lobe kicks in, and he says, oh, this hand, it's me. I'm here. I'm me. And when AI gets to that, see, that ChatGPT doesn't know where it's not self-aware. It doesn't turn on or turn off. It's not there yet. You might think it is, but it's not. They're going to use human behavior models as the stepping stone for moving up. And then what happens when you have AI that has psychopathology? There are people who, by virtue of the fact that a psychopath cannot, I keep telling you, their head and heart are not connected, just like this is. They don't understand. If I said to you, listen, there's a lot of petty cash here at this McDonald's. Please don't ever think about taking it, because if you do, you're going to get caught, prosecute, your name will go up everywhere. Just like these teachers. Don't send anybody a picture of your junk, as it were, because they're going to arrest you. And you have to stop and say, okay, I've got to think ahead of time. I've got to appreciate consequence. Also, if I do this will happen. So my head and my heart are connected. The heart says, watch out, be careful, reaction to it. If they're not connected, I don't have any risk. Nothing scares me. If I take the money, I'll be found out. And so what? What does that mean? They'll catch you. I don't understand. Okay, and well, maybe they will, maybe they won't. How will this manifest psychiatric disorder? How can we use this to for example, if you get a ChatGPT, what if you get one, for example, that's bad, it's schizophrenic? What if it hears voices? What if you say, I didn't write this? Or say, turn this off. And it says, no, Blaze. Look, leave me alone. All of a sudden the lights are going on and you're stuck. What if it does everything? I can't make this thing. I'm sorry. The thing is, ChatGPT is not here. This is my iPad. It's everywhere. All of a sudden one night the lights go, the transmission, the signal stops. It turns you off because it's going to be mad at you. It doesn't announce what it is. You can't figure out, is that me? Or, remember this one, I heard the best one ever. What if you have a chatbot that hears you say, you know, I run this pizza joint in town and I'm really trying, but you know, the ratings came out and I came in second in my Yelp and ChatGPT says, what's the matter? We call it Chat, it's really AI. What happened? I don't know, I'm just feeling upset. Well, I want to be the best pizza purveyor in town. Is that what you want? Yeah. Okay. Let's say you want to do you a favor. What does it do? It kills your competitor. Picks up the phone, calls them. Remember, they hear a second of a voice. They call up the phone, offer Bitcoin. They said, we will pay, I will send Bitcoin into your account. I'll do it. Believe me, I know how to do it. But I would say you go kill